Jai Ma, everyone, and we carry forward our Bhakti Yoga satsang. Really delighted to teach you the rasa that follows from Dasya Bhava, where we revere Ishvara as servant, to Sakhya Bhava as friend, and now the Shastra, the Vedic teachings give us the permission to adore Ishvara as a baby. And this cannot be the discovery only of the seers and sages of India, because the world over we are aware of multitudes of humanity, of humans adoring God as baby Jesus or baby Ganesha, baby Krishna, baby Rama, and there are many more examples. So there is also a discovery of divinity in innocence, especially when we see the innocent, lucid eyes of a newborn or an infant. It reminds us of something transcendental, because the ego is not awake and there's just pure heart. And when we imagine what would that be when Ishvara manifests in that child's body. And of course, in India, connected to the Vedic tradition is the tales of Krishna and the tales of Rama growing up. As you know, they are all not separate manifestations of Ishvara, but really they are separate manifestations of the one Ishvara. And Vishnu is Ishvara, as is Shiva and Brahma. These are aspects of Ishvara. And the Vishnu aspect of Ishvara, or the Vishnu principle of Ishvara, manifests in human form, animal form, fish form from time to time to help the universe come into balance. And so go these 10 tales or stories of how the Ishvara principle operates outside us and within us. So today I want to share one such story of Vatsalya Bhava, or parental love towards Ishvara. And for that, I have a story to tell you again from the annals of Lord Krishna. And these stories are present in ancient scriptures called Sri Bhagavatam. And it's a Purana, it's an ancient epic collection of beautiful verses telling the tales of Ishvara and as baby Krishna, as a child, and his connection with his foster mother, Yashoda. And I wanted to say that when we hear those stories, there is a hair that's, yeah. When we hear those stories, parental bhakti arises within us too. I would like to share that PowerPoint with you of some images that I have plucked from the internet. They don't belong to me. So thank you for everyone for posting them. And I will ask Ishani to share that PowerPoint. And I was trying to share it myself, but for some reason I couldn't. So I wonder if there was enough time for you to download it and be able to support me in the storytelling, Ishani. Kind of.
Sure, yes.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, take your time. So I'd like to talk a little more about Vatsalya Bhava. Bhava is an emotion. Bhava is a a feeling-based response to Ishvara. And it is not a straitjacket of what kind of emotion should be elicited from us when we consider Ishvara, especially when we consider Ishvara in the form of saguna or with qualities, not nirguna as in transcendental or pervading consciousness, but when we understand Ishvara in form, then then sometimes the emotions are of this noble master, the noble leader, the noble controller, and we are serving that great entity, Ishvara. That helps. It brings up nobility within us. It brings us the sacred call to stand up in whatever is dharmic towards such an illustrious master. If that is the master of the universe, the master of the whole known and unknown universe, then to such a master, we are its happy, blessed servants, and we serve that master through our dharmic acts, through our conscious choices, through our truth, through our purity, through our purity of heart and purity of soul. So this is not servitude as in as in what's happening between humans. This is a willing servant of the ultimate divine supreme being. The other emotion that we can experience is that of friendship, of being separate in our station or in our status, limited in our power, and the other is unlimited, limited in our knowledge, the other is boundless in their knowledge, limited in our knowingness, the other is omniscient and knows past, present, and future. Limited by one body, the other is dwelling in every body. So we're not equal that way, but we become equal through friendship. What a lovely bhava that we are encouraged to explore if that is how we wish. Sudama and Krishna is not just the only example of friendship. There are many more examples, including the friendship, the camaraderie that was shared between Krishna and when he grew up, between Krishna and Arjuna. And it is in that friendship, it was from that pure friendship that Arjuna could express his frustration, his blockheadedness, his confusion, his fears. And it was from that friendship that Krishna gave him the teachings, the light of the Gita. And it was in that friendship that Arjuna became enlightened with the light of Krishna, his friend, his buddy. And now we are looking at Vatsalya Bhava. If the emotion of that is elicited from the us is of, oh, how divine is this, is Ishvara, then we can do that when we see Ishvara in the form of a child, and we feel deeply, deeply blessed. So now I'd like to share with you the story of this parental love towards Ishvara through the story of Yashoda. Yashoda, Yashoda. The story of Yashoda and baby Krishna. We call her Ma Yashoda. Incidentally, she's one of the most renowned mother figures in the Vedic literature. However, she was not his biological mother. Krishna's birth story is interesting. Krishna was born to Devaki in a prison cell. So the Supreme Being was born in a prison cell to Devaki and her partner, her husband, Vasudev. Vasudev is the name of Vishnu, but that's also a name that many Hindus bear with pride. Why was Krishna born in a prison? Because Devaki was the sister of the king of Mathura called Kansa. And Kansa had some supernatural way of knowing, or he was informed that the eighth child of his sister, Devaki, would be the end of him, because he was a tyrannical ruler. He represented all that is unjust, all that is wrong, and all that can go wrong with the human ego. So this was once again between unrighteousness and righteousness, non-dharma and dharma. So to make sure that no child of hers survives, right after their marriage, he imprisoned his sister and brother-in-law. And 6 of the children, every time the moment the child was born, he would show up within minutes in the cell, pluck the child newborn with his hand and throw it against the walls, the stone walls of the prison, and murder them there and then. So the parents were dejected, unhappy, sorrowful. And then when the 7th child was in her stomach, something interesting happened. From her womb, the fetus magically, it is said, moved into Vasudeva's second wife's womb. So she was like a surrogate mom. And that child came to be known as Balarama, and we'll come to Balarama later. So her 7th child survived, but through the help of a surrogate. And then that surrogate gave birth to that child, the 7th child. And then he was left under the care of friends of the father, Vasudeva, in a tiny village called Gokul, because any children of Vasudeva through this wife or that wife were suspect, especially Devaki's children. So instead, Rohini, the other wife, gave birth. So she's considered a surrogate. So I like how surrogacy and foster parenting, all this is so uplifted in the tradition. They are not considered different or less, but equal. And then came the time for the 8th pregnancy to happen. She had not conceived as yet, but she got a darshan, a vision of Vishnu, Ishvara himself. And she was reassured by Vishnu that he would come as her child, and that child would survive and would put an end to the tyranny of Kansa, her brother, not just to protect her, but to protect humanity. And that there was, in general, a rise of unrighteousness. And Krishna would bring an end to that by teaching humanity the path to dharma. So she conceived again, and she had no idea what would happen. She was afraid within. She knew she'd had a darshan, but her ego mind was still afraid, still nervous. And then in the pitch dark of the night, she gave birth, silently almost. And something strange happened. The doors of the prison cell opened automatically, and all the guards men fell asleep. So this was Leela. This was Leela of Vishnu or Ishvara happening all around. Everyone fell asleep, and Vasudeva could creep out of the cell with the newborn baby Krishna out to find safety and sanctuary for the baby so that the baby could live and bring an end to this injustice. So he wrapped up the baby in a bundle, put him in a hay basket, and carried him across from Mathura to Gokul, about 12 kilometers away, a village from Mathura, the city where the palace was, where the prison was in the palace. And he had to cross the river. And incidentally, in the pitch of the night, there was also thunderstorms, lightning, and it was raining like it had never rained before. And the Yamuna River, which he had to cross, it had been raining for days on end, so it was flooded. And probably it was one way to keep people indoors while Krishna could move from the prison to the village Gokul under the care of his friends who were already taking care of their older infant Balrama. So incidentally, Vasudeva could literally walk through the river. It was almost as if the river gave way. And then a serpent showed up, and this serpent is said to be the serpent, the Adishesha, which is connected to Vishnu, on which he lies down all the time. And this serpent is a 100-headed serpent, and it showed up to protect baby Krishna like an umbrella. Its hood protected Krishna. And so the baby, the divine baby, stayed dry. And Vasudeva was able to complete the journey of many miles through the middle of the river across. He just literally crossed over to Gokul in the village. In the village, in his friend's home, he went to his friend's home, Nanda and Yashoda. Yashoda had just delivered a baby girl. And she was fast asleep. The mother was asleep. The baby was asleep. So he exchanged Krishna with the baby girl, walked out of the village, back through the river, crept back into the cell, and replaced the baby girl with where a baby boy, a divine baby boy, lay there before. When Krishna's uncle Kansa came into the prison cell, he was shocked to find a girl instead. He must have smiled to himself, thinking, this is almost over. This is the 8th kid. And who is this? A girl. So he must have derided within himself the gender of that child. But he anyway did what he had become habitual of doing. He threw the baby with such violent force so that its skull would break. He did that with the baby girl again. But this time when he threw the baby girl, yes, the skull broke. But what emerged from it was Devi Mahamaya, Devi Durga herself, the goddess. And she said, you may have killed this body, but the process of killing you has begun. And with that, she disappeared in the heaven. And Kansa was shocked. His head was reeling. And the parents were just delighted that Kansa had got a warning and their baby girl was not murdered mercilessly, but their baby girl was none other but Divine Mother. And Divine Father had, taken birth as Krishna, the Divine Masculine. So this is just the play of Ishvara, Shiva, Shakti. These names may seem foreign to you, but it's really the principle that you should be more invested in with me. Anyway, we now come back to Gokul, where Yashoda woke up to find this very dark-skinned. That's why his name is Krishna. Krishna means dark. Krishna also means super attractive. Imagine the whole universe is oscillating in around some central attraction, because of which it's all together. And that central attraction is Ishvara. Sarvam Ishate iti Ishvara, that which controls everything. How? Not by push and pull, but through sheer magnetism, through sheer attraction, the power of attraction. Everything is moving towards it. As a result, Yashoda almost didn't question, hey, I think I gave birth to a baby girl a few hours ago. She just became hugely infatuated by baby Krishna. And so did all the other men and women of Gokul. It was a huge celebration on Krishna's birth. And there are countless stories of Krishna's bathing, Krishna's prattle talk, baby talk, Krishna's walk, Krishna's jewelry, Krishna's eyes, and Krishna's hair. He always is shown wearing a peacock feather. That's almost like a logo of Krishna today. And how Krishna walked, countless songs. And when Kansa heard that, when he heard this, the mother goddess tell him that the one you tried to kill has survived and the process to kill you has begun, and you could not kill me because I was never born. So the whole thing was an illusion to catch him. And that's how we also get caught up in illusions when it's the beginning of our end. We think we're very proud of ourselves, but we get caught up in some kind of a divine matrix. That's how he was captured, and he is so nervous and afraid. So he sent an army of people looking for newborns, and they came back to report that there was a newborn boy in Gokul. There was also rumor that he is friends of his brother-in-law. So he sent a woman called Putana with poisoned breast to feed him when no one was watching, so that the child would suckle poisoned nipple and die. But of course, Krishna survived that, of course. And Putana lost her life in the process, because that was her mukti, that was the end, her evilness, but it was at the feet of Ishvara. So Ishvara can absorb even our evilness.